So, your realtor, hopefully me, has sat down and worked through the rent versus buy decision with you, and yes, we've decided that you're going to buy. Now, we should get out there and start looking at houses, right? Not so fast. The first thing we need to do is really sit down and talk to a mortgage lender or two and figure out what is the right loan type for you. I want to stress that getting the mortgage pre-approval done prior to house shopping is really important, and here's why. I have two reasons. One of the most disappointing thing I've done is gone out with people that weren't yet pre-approved just so we could get our feet wet looking at houses and look at some $350,000 houses, $325,000, and then later that client finds out they're only approved for $275,000 or $300,000. After looking at those higher price point houses, it's really hard to go back and start looking at lower price point houses. The second thing that I've seen happen is clients that went out day one, fell in love with the house, very first thing out of the gate, found a house, loved it. And then later they found out they weren't pre-approved for that loan. To me, that's why it's critically important to get the pre-approval done up front. And then there's no disappointment when we find the right house. We know the price point where we should be looking, and we also know that when we put an offer in, it's not going to come back and we're not going to be able to afford that house. Now, when it comes to lenders, I expect three things, just three things. Seems pretty simple, right? The first one is I want that lender to give you and your family the best loan for you. That doesn't necessarily mean that when you're a veteran, that's a VA loan, because if you've used that VA authorization before, the funding fee may be something that really you don't want to add to your loan. Also, a lot of lenders will try to shoehorn somebody in to an FHA loan when they might be better off with a 5% down conventional loan. There's a lot of different types of loan products out there, and what I want is a lender that's going to present you with all the options to make sure that we're getting you the best loan for you and your family. Number two, pretty simple. I want a lender that is going to communicate. They're going to communicate well with you, they're going to communicate well with me, and we're going to make sure that we get this thing to the finish line. There's one more person they have to communicate well with at the end, and that's the title company, and I want to make sure that they're very adept at doing that. The last thing sort of pertains to that communication is that I want to make sure that we're going to close on time. There are a lot of moving parts to a loan, and also what's going on at the title company. At the very end, they have to be in lockstep to make sure we get that house to close on time. So I want to make sure that that lender is going to be able to get the appraisal order and get everything done to ensure that we're going to close this loan on time. One of the most disappointing things for a buyer is to get 3 or 4 days from closing and the lender say, oh, we're going to have to wait a week to close, or we're going to have to wait 2 weeks to close because we forgot some step in the process. So getting a lender that is going to communicate well with me where we can ensure that loan is going to close on time is very important. Finally, I think as you go through the loan process, I think sometimes it's good to shop with multiple lenders. As long as we do that within about a 14-day period, it's only going to be one hit on your credit score, which is about 5 points. And that way you have a little bit of competition in that loan, and you can see who is actually going to give you the best loan product for you and your family. After we get that pre-approval order in hand, then we're going to be ready to get out shopping. Stand by for my next segment on the home buying process.